Welcome back to YouTube. I believe this is video number 4, and in today's video we're going to tell you how Dubai has burned a huge hole in our wallets so far.
So to be precise on the hole that it's burnt, we've averaged around potentially more than £50,000 it has cost us to move our life from the UK to Dubai. So this video we're going to basically talk about, was it worth it, the pros and cons of it, and how much money we spent.
So what I've done is I have kind of categorized what we spent on what, and the way I've done it is I've kind of rounded it up or down to the closest £500. I'm not going to go searching for every single invoice for everything that we bought, but I have outlined the majority of the main things that we've got. And then just bear in mind there's a couple of little things on top of that that we haven't included, so it's likely going to be more than what we actually itemize here.
But also guys, if you're listening to this video and thinking, oh my god, I could never move to Dubai, we had it not more challenging, but obviously we had to ship the dogs over. We wanted a house, like we didn't want to live in an apartment. Like you can live in an apartment with a dog, but we've got 2 crazy sausage dogs. Like you've seen our dogs on social media. Romeo's an absolute psycho and Reggie's just a nutter that runs around all the time. So we needed to have more space. We needed a garden, and because we work from home, like we're in the house all the time. Like I couldn't imagine being in a really small combined space. So that's another reason why it's so expensive.
Yeah, ultimately, like this isn't something that we wanted to put out there to either tell you to
Scare.
do or equally to scare you out of
Run a mile.
It was equally just to show you just how we've gone about it and what it's cost us, whether it's been worth it, whether it's not. So we'll start simply by saying that just by getting here, just to get here, was expensive on its own. Like Bobby said, obviously we had the flights to pay for, we had an Airbnb to pay for, we had the dogs to pay for. You can, when you get to Dubai, depending on how you go about it, do it in different ways. So you can go freelance, where essentially you work for a company technically, obviously you still have your own rights and whatnot, or you can set up a limited company and do it all officially, where you just solely work for yourself. And funnily enough, we were told to go freelance in the beginning, and it's a good job we didn't, and at the last minute we changed our minds, because we wouldn't have been able to run the business as we usually run our business. So we went with the slightly more expensive option, the slightly more complicated option, but hands down, the guy that helped us has been nothing but a godsend. He's been gone over and above to help us get it all set up. But quite literally, first things first, the visas and the business itself cost us £4,000 alone. So that was to get us obviously into the country, and that was getting the business registered with their authority or government, whatever you want to call it.
The dogs, so we had to get the dogs, well, they had to have their jabs, which they, to be fair, they did have the majority of them, but they needed to get specific jabs. So just to get 2 dogs, get their vaccines, that was around £400, wasn't it? That was to get everything kind of roughly for their jabs. And then we had to obviously reach out to a what's the word?
Courier.
A courier to ship the dogs over. So all in, I'm going to say the dogs were around £3,500. We did have to pay for like the little shipping kennel box, whatever you call it, which was a little bit more expensive. You can get your own, but we just wanted the company to do it. So yeah, it was around £3,500 for the dogs, which I think isn't that expensive.
It's not, because we did contact quite a few companies, and some of them were coming up at like 4,500, 5,000. But you found one that you were happy with based on their Instagram profile, and it was actually
a lot
slightly cheaper.
Well, we will put the links somewhere for you guys to see. So we first contacted Pet Air? Yeah, it was Pet Air, and they quoted us like 4,700. And we were like, oh god, that's just, it's expensive, isn't it? And then I was doing my research, and this company that we chose solely flies dogs to Dubai. So I was like, right, perfect. Read the reviews. They were literally like how much cheaper? Like I think it was like, was it 2,700?
I think it was 2,800 altogether.
Which is significantly cheaper when you are shipping like your whole life over. We wanted to, obviously you want to bring your customers as much as possible. So we chose that company and they were amazing. They were really, really good. But that was probably one of the scariest things we've ever done.
It was pretty terrifying, but yeah, that in itself, about I know, about £3,500 to get the dogs here. Then for our own flights, we just flew economy. We're not bougie bitches like that. It was £2,000 for our flights alone. That was with like one suitcase each and just 2 economy flights, single. We then did have to buy extra luggage.
Got a lot of stuff.
We brought 6 suitcases, 3 each. Obviously, we packed up the majority of our lives, mostly just clothes and business-related stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't bother doing anything like long haul where you ship them over using a different, to like bring over like a coffee machine. We did think about it and stuff like that, but we just thought it's not fucking worth it. So we just literally packed our suitcases full of clothes. So all in all, the flights with the luggage was about £2,500. So you're looking at about 10 grand just to get here.
And then what you will need to do is while you wait for your visas to come through, we had to get an Airbnb. Now we were very fortunate that we only needed it for 2 weeks because sometimes it can take around 4 to 6 weeks for your visas to come through. But we pre-organised everything before we left. So the Airbnb for 2 weeks was around £1,000, which I don't think is really that bad, is it?
It wasn't, because again we were looking at quite a few. We needed something that was friendly enough for the dogs, so £1,000 was probably about half the cost of what the other things we were looking at. Some of them were coming up at like 1,500, 2,000, upwards to
for
like
2 weeks,
£4,000 for like 2,000 for like 2 weeks, which is obviously a joke.
And it's unnecessary.
And we just weren't of any interest in staying in like a really nice bougie hotel. It was 2 weeks, so we just thought we'll just not rough it, but just go with something a little bit on the cheaper side to keep costs down. It was a little bit of hard work, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't tiny, but it wasn't big enough for 2 adults that work from home with 2 sausage dogs and a very small balcony. It was there were days that we did felt like we were going a little bit insane, but obviously it was for a very short period of time.
And then there is other things on top of that before we even got here, like sorting out our passports and photos and copying documents and stuff. So there's little bits that add on top of this, but generally speaking, 10 grand to get here. When we first got here, the initial thing was obviously the Airbnb. We had to get a car to drive around in because it was just going to be more cost effective for us. Otherwise it would have been taxis here and everywhere, which funnily enough the taxis here are actually dirt cheap.
Yeah, but you can't take dogs in them either.
You can't take dogs in them. So we needed a car, which fronted us about £1,000 up front. I think roughly. Once the rental itself, a security deposit for the car, an extra person insured on the car, even though you haven't go very far.
Just scared.
The driving here is pretty crazy. So that was £1,000 in itself. Then that was pretty much it up to that point. So you're looking at £11,000-12,000 maybe.
Which doesn't sound that bad. And then now we're going to slap you with the rent. Now again, we did choose to choose a house, so you are going to make it that little bit more expensive. Like you can get a really nice apartment for literally like not even half.
I think depending on the area that you're in and where you want to be, obviously we need to consider the dogs, so we want it to be somewhere with like more parks to be around and stuff like that. The area that we're actually in is one of the cheaper areas. I just don't think many people really know about it.
It's perfect.
Before we'd even moved here, we'd never really heard of it.
No.
So we're living in Jumeirah Village Triangle, which is like a quiet, small community, mostly of townhouses and villas, with the occasional apartment building. Like one of my best friends, Andy, who I used to live with when I was younger, actually lives 5 minutes up the road in an apartment building, and I believe, you wouldn't mind me saying, his rent costs around 100,000 dirhams.
What's that in?
Which is roughly around £23,000.
And that's for the year.
For the year, £22,000 for the year.
Which, again, I don't think is bad.
When you're from a small town like we are, obviously I'm from the north of England and Cumbria, Bobby's from Colwyn Bay, Wales. Rental prices aren't that steep, but when you've been living in areas like Manchester, like I'm used to for the past decade, it's not actually that much different. And you're looking at, like, especially in the centre of Manchester, you're looking at £1,500 to £3,000 per month, depending on how bougie you go, right? But this house,
and it's so nice, guys.
Bearing in mind it's massive. Well, I say massive. It's doesn't compare to like the villas out here, but big for what we need.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we've come from a very small house in Colwyn. I live in Old Colwyn, and it was my first home, and it was small, wasn't it?
Small, 2 up, 2 down house. This is probably twice the size.
With a massive garden, like the garden's huge.
Garden's big enough to put like a 6-7 seater sofa out there.
We could get a lazy spot. We can get sun lounges in the garden.
We've got 2 sun lounges that actually need put up over there. The dogs
have a barbecue. We've got so much to add.
We've got 2 rooms upstairs, an ensuite,
a balcony and a terrace.
And a downstairs bathroom as well. Well, downstairs toilet. But this sets us back.
Drum roll. I'm too scared to say it.
£29,000 for the
year. But hang fire, guys. Again, that's probably going to make you go, oh my goodness. In Dubai, you pay things in checks. So sometimes you can pay in checks of 4. So like you pay for 4 months up front, or you can pay in checks of 2, or you can pay in 1 check. Normally, if you pay in 1 check, they tend to bring the price down, and landlords love it when you pay in 1 check, because they're just getting a big slap load of money. So we did choose to pay 1 check purely just because, 1, we don't have to think about rent for a year, which is stunning, even though we've already paid for it. So it was quite a big punch.
It was also just the idea that, because we did view a few of these, and we did get offered a few that were slightly cheaper, but this one was just so much nicer than the other ones that we looked at. If you watched our previous YouTube videos, if you haven't, go and watch them. We actually show you around them. You'll see the ones that we viewed. We didn't actually view this one on YouTube, so this is the one that we ended up moving into. But this was just, it felt like a steal because it wasn't that much more expensive.
And it was so much nicer.
We wanted to secure it. And not only that, who wants to be moving every 6 months? Like, the amount of effort that we've put into moving in here, we're already 2 months into our lease anyway. In another 4 months we'd have to be moving out or looking to pay again, so we just figured, well, we're going to be here for at least a year, might as well just pay it.
Yeah.
So it's been a big upfront cost, but it was worth it. Well, we hope it's worth it, because it's out of the way and we can forget about it. Now, on top of the rent, they are slightly cheeky. You have to pay a security deposit on pretty much everything. So we paid around £4,000 worth of deposits on the house itself. We paid a deposit on the bills. We had to pay to register Jari, and we had to pay a commission fee to the agent that got us the house. So that's £33,000 just on the house before we've even really moved into it. Now, furnishing it, believe it or not, while Dubai might sound super expensive up to now, we've definitely made it sound that way. It's actually quite cheap to furnish. So this sofa that we're sat on now was custom made. It's very big. You can sit
an L shape as well.
Probably 4 people. We can both lie on it very comfortably. It was £600.
And for sofas at home, like my sofa at home was £2,000, and it was terrible. And I don't think it was terrible. It was brand new. I think I got it from I don't know where I got it from, but it was £2,000. I obviously liked it. I chose it, and I honestly think this sofa is just as nice. Like, and it's half of the price, and it baffles me that how can something be so different in price?
That was with delivery and installation.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, guys, this is what you'll love about Dubai. Everything that you order, they build it here for you. You've got to know. There's no DIY yourself. Like, they do it for you. D what?
DIY.
D what? What did I say?
You said DIY.
What is it?
DIY.
DIY
Give it
yourself. DIY. See. So the fact that, like, for example, like this tripod is sat on like a little like coffee table, and they just come in, they unbox it, they build it, off they go, take the rubbish. It's stunning.
It is very, very, very good. They're very, very helpful. Anyway, we got this sofa and the bed, king size, customised, which is unbelievably comfortable, by the way. You're buzzing with it, aren't you?
Also, guys, we've got these customised curtains.
Customised curtains in the living room, which was the rail, the little white sheet, the curtains for the living room and the bedroom upstairs, and some more shutter blinds in the spare bedroom. These all came to 3,000 dirhams each, which is basically 650 quid each, give or take a couple of quid. So you're looking at like just short of £2,000 for that. We furnished the kitchen with a fridge freezer, a big one, an oven, a washing machine, microwave, kettle, all the general bits of stuff that you need in the kitchen, plus a 70-inch 4K TV and a soundbar for £2,000.
Which is just like to kit out a whole kitchen.
And that's all brand new, by the way. None of it was like second hand or anything.
And they installed it all.
They came in, they built it into the wall, put it on the wall, installed everything, checked it all worked. So you can see that, like, while it has been super, super expensive, equally some parts of it haven't been as expensive either. Like, if anything, they're actually cheaper than the UK. And then we've worked out another £4,000 on basic things like, obviously, bedding. We've got this little desk here that we've got a coffee table. We've got an under the TV unit. We've got a kitchen table.
Like cutlery, like.
Yeah, Bobby decided to buy the world's largest mirror.
I just love mirrors, guys. I think a mirror really opens up a room. So I went in the shop and I chose the biggest one I could find with a gold trim around it. It's lovely.
It is cool. We've got garden furniture. We've got these up on the wall. Obviously, general decorations and stuff like that. That was another 4,000. So getting here was about 12, and then since being here, that makes it about 38. 12, 29 of that, 33 of that really, has been just on getting the house. So 33 on the rent plus the bills, 12 getting here, and then like a further 8 basically on furnishing it. So all in all, so far, £50,000.
But again, just before you guys all shit yourselves, we won't have to buy any furniture again. So if, next year when we renew, it's not going to be as expensive. But I would honestly say, to move to Dubai, you've got to have some money behind you. You can't move to Dubai with a couple of grand in your bank.
No, I mean, that's speaking for us being business owners that wanted to set up on our own. Some people, like your friend, for example, Ella, is a teacher. When it comes to teaching, they will do everything for you.
Well, they really look after you.
They give you a house. Like, they pay you a very, very substantial wage. Like, for other people, it's not like that. But for us as business owners, as we wanted to do it from scratch, completely work on our own in a house that we really, really wanted, we've landed on our feet because we've gone all the way in. Like, we could have maybe done it cheaper, but we decided not to because we plan on staying there for a considerable amount of time. So,
and life's for living.
Exactly.
Money will be made.
Now the question is, and was the whole point of the video, is has it been worth it? So we're going to run you through some potential positives and some potential negatives. Come with us to find out. So, change of plan. We did originally plan on taking you to the supermarket and taking you to Kite Beach to change the scenery and stuff, but little Reggie has had his balls cut off this week and he hasn't been the best. He's been pooing all over the house.
No, he's been shitting everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Everywhere, and it's not just normal, it's diarrhea. So he's taken a lot of our time, guys. We couldn't leave him. So you get the rest of the video in our stunning house, which is no problem.
Quite literally spent the last 24 hours since we recorded that first part of the video cleaning his bed, cleaning him, cleaning his little surgery vest, cleaning the mats, the floors. Everything has just been covered and also stunk like shit. So that's just the real, raw, honest truth. We could have made this video a lot nicer and fancier, but just not our life.
This is what you get, guys. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of Dubai and just our opinion on it. So
we're going to start with the negatives or the possible downsides. Now, bear in mind, we have only been here 2 months, so we're still getting to grips with things. And to be honest with you, some of these negatives are equally positives in their own right. So there really isn't that many, but I've got them noted down here on my phone. So one of the ones that I feel is one of the downsides so far, and again this does kind of go into the fact that we're still pretty new here, but you hear all these stories about what you can and can't do, and like the rules being quite strict. Like on the first week we got here, Bobby got told off in the mall because she was wearing a backless dress. It was full length and nothing was on show over them.
Yeah.
It's fine. Well, she did get told off. So that's one possible downside, just kind of feeling a little bit, especially as like newbies here, what you can and can't do. But that does also kind of cross back over into one of the things that we mentioned before, like the rules are that strict, and they are strict, but it's like one of the safest places in the world.
yeah,
So while the rules are quite tight, it also means that Dubai generally is an amazing place, but equally quite a place where you feel like you have to be cautious to some degree. What do you think?
well, yeah, it depends what the rules are, though, doesn't it? Like wearing a backless top, like I think you just have to understand as well, like you're coming into a Muslim country, so you just have to,
Rules are rules,
obey
and
by the
rules are
rules.
rules, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm saying they shouldn't have the rules. The rules are a good thing, and we actually appreciate them. Like even like the fact that you're not allowed to let your dogs off the lead, like it's actually a good thing because we've got 2 soft-ass dogs that don't like dogs coming near them. So the fact that they don't have to deal with our dogs is actually a good thing. But equally, we're still new, so we're still kind of figuring out the boundaries of what you can and
We're just finding our
can't
feet with
do.
it.
So
Something that I think is really, really bad. Well, I say really, really bad, terrifying. The traffic. But the way people drive here, it is literally like, what's that video game?
Grand Theft Auto.
It is like Grand Theft Auto. Like there's not many rules in regards to like how you drive. It's just like everybody just kind of cuts over each other. So when we first got in the car, obviously Brad drove, I was scared for my life, but you definitely adapt to it. Now we've been here 2 months, I feel like Brad's a lot more confident.
I'm like Super Mario now.
Yeah, I'm too scared to drive though here as of yet. I definitely will, but I feel like I need to just go out and just like practice and
It's
like
just-
not be too scared.
The roads, for one, like the infrastructure, obviously the place is quite new, so they're building quite a lot of roads. The roads are a little bit mental, like there's no like clear like slip roads that come on and off the motorway, like they appear out of nowhere. So like the roads themselves are actually quite difficult to get used to, for one. But then people do just drive absolutely mental, like they don't let you in, they cut you up, they overtake you, undertake you, like there's 8 lanes on the motorway and everybody's driving, and you've kind of literally got like, so in some cases, like literally just where we are now, you come off onto the motorway and within a 100-metre period, you have to get across 8 lanes of traffic without crashing. It's absolutely nuts. But I'm actually kind of used to it now. I don't feel an edge, whereas you still do. So, one of the other ones that I've got noted down here is just generally, as you've seen before, and in the start of this video, it's expensive, man. Like a lot of the things here are more expensive than the UK. But again, this is a double-sided one because some things are super cheap. Like one thing that we notice is a lot more expensive is just generally like grocery shopping, like food shopping and stuff like that. We go to one of the cheaper supermarkets here. Like there is no Aldi or anything like that here. Like you're paying like high-end supermarket
It's
prices,
like
really.
like at home, like you only have like M&S and Tesco. It's like that's the only options that you have here. Like there is no Aldi or Lidl.
But even probably more than that, though. It's probably more like O&S prices, like,
I would
and
say.
like Waitrose, like all the time, because especially if you want in like UK based things, so like, you know, you might get like a jar of Nutella or a jar of fucking Biscoff, and they're like £8.
Like, for example, we brought 2 bottles of Robinson juice and it was £12 for 2 bottles of juice, which I think is a bit OTT, but that's just the way their prices are.
One bottle of Ribena was £12. So you can understand that things are pretty fucking pricey. But then again, like I filled the car up today, and I think I've only filled the car up 4 times since we've been here in 8 weeks, and
Petrol's so cheap.
it's like £20 to fill up the full tank, and it lasts you like over 2 weeks.
How much in the UK? When I had my Range Rover, it was like £90 to fill up a tank that probably lasts me like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, when I was driving my
Not even
BMW,
that.
it was like, it was at least £100 a week, at least.
So it's just absolutely mental how like you can just fill up your car for 25 quid and you don't even have to get out. Like they fill it up for you, which is pretty wild.
And then the last one really is, which doesn't really affect us in all honesty, like it would be, but for some people I can imagine it's quite a place where you can fall into the comparison trap quite easily. Obviously everybody's really successful here, like, you know, our neighbour drives a Tesla, there's a Maserati next door.
There's a G-Wagon a few houses down.
The house across the road has a pool in the back garden, it's like a 5-bedroom villa, so you're around a lot of like, you know, fancy things and people that are super successful. Like we personally see it as inspiring and it doesn't really affect us too much. Every now and again we kind of go, fucking hell, I wish I had that villa. But
that's only normal.
No,
though.
that's normal. But I think a lot of people might, or some people might struggle with the idea that, well, you kind of go from being a big fish in a small pond to being a very small fish in a very big pond over here. Mm-hmm. Like you are back down to the bottom of the pecking order, even when you're doing what you would consider very well.
It's just such a wealthy country. So like at home, it's very rare that you see, especially in North Wales, you don't really see G-Wagons, you don't really see Lambos. Like here, you put out on the motorway, there's about 5 G-Wagons, maybe like 10 Lambos, and like it's just normal. That's just the normal thing here. Like me and Ella went for breakfast the other day, and what are those like Tesla cars that look like a bloody road?
Yeah, I don't know which one. I can't remember what they're called.
It's just
basically like the really like the square. It looks like something from the future.
The number plate was like 5 or 6, like just one number, and like obviously you know that's just going to be so expensive. So it definitely opens your eyes on like how much money is actually in the world, because you just don't see it. You don't, like, everybody's not skin in the UK, but everybody is limited because of how much you have to pay out in the UK. So it's just wild coming in and being like, whoa, everyone's got money.
So yeah, but they're pretty much the only negatives that we've got so far. So on to the positives. So positives, there's a big list of them, so we're going to try and round them off as quick as possible. But the first one, and it's the biggest one for me, and it was the first one, it was the main reason that I actually wanted to just get out of the UK, to be honest with you, and it's just the weather. Like waking up to the sun every single day and quite literally sweating. I'm a sweaty person, so it's just so good for your mood.
Yeah.
Like, it's rained twice, I believe, since
it's actually been quite nice when
it has rained. It's been actually kind of refreshing. It's been like 30 degrees today, yesterday. It's only going to get hotter. So that was one of the main things. Just generally for me, as somebody that struggles with the rain and the cold and the wet and the wind, like it really affects my mood. So being here, the sun is definitely one of the biggest things for me, for sure.
Okay, so next one is environment. So everybody here, I'm not even joking you, is so much happier. Like the amount of, like, I think the first 2 weeks, 3 people stopped me just to say, oh, I really like your tattoos, or just being really, really nice, which I don't think that's very common in the UK, just to randomly give people a compliment. I feel like everybody just wants to help one another. Everybody's so smiley and friendly, and it just puts you in a good mood. Like even the Kareem man, so this thing called Kareem here where you can just get things delivered to your house, they're so happy to see you, and they're just delivering the parcel. Like everybody is just so lovely. They really are.
Not only that, just like, again, which is kind of why some of the negatives were kind of double-sided, like just being around people that are inspiring and motivated to do well, and just being surrounded by successful people, for us at least, puts us in a mindset of like, right, let's go, like let's work. So I think the environment itself is just way more motivating. It's way more happy. It's way more, it's just so much better for like your mental health in general. Another one that's super big is just the abundance of choice that you've got here. Like coming from a small town, Bobby coming from a small town, me getting used to being in Manchester. One of the main things, again, one of the main reasons that I wanted to move here was that I liked being in a small town because it was nice and it was like, it looked good, like being near the beach and stuff like that, like even near the lakes, like the air is fresh, stuff like that, but there was just nothing around. Whereas in Manchester, there was lots to do and lots around, but it's just not as nice. So being here, you get the best of both worlds. It's nice, and there's just so much shit.
And
like
you can never run out of things to do. Like there's just so much shit, like beach clubs, like just even going to Dubai Mall, you can spend the day there. There's just so many activities, so many different restaurants, so many different gyms. It's just there's just so many options there. Like I don't think you can ever get bored ever of being here.
In here, even just here being at home, if you don't want to go out like Kareem or InstaShop or Noon, like it's like basically like Deliveroo for anything that you want.
Literally.
Like you can literally just, oh, I want some tea bags, or I want a fucking new light, or I want a phone charger. Like it'll be at your door in an hour. It's just everything's just so fucking easy, man.
Safety.
Again, it's kind of already touched on this, but everything's just so safe. Like I don't even know how to even describe it. Like the streets are so clean. Like they've got people cleaning the streets 24/7.
Every day, like every day. Our bins get taken out every day, and there's a man sweeping around the bins. Like people cleaning the streets. Like all of the time. There's never rubbish anywhere. There's never any homeless people. It's actually illegal to be homeless here, I think.
Yeah, I think
I don't think you can. No. And like in regards to safety, like obviously you all know what's going on in the UK right now. It's just mental. All of this like horrible things that have happened. Like here, there's no way anything would happen. Like you can go for a run at night and not feel threatened, not have to kind of look behind you. Like the kids can play in a park on their own, and their family feel safe. It's just crazy.
Again, kind of touching this already, but like the strict rules on the dogs and stuff like that, and just generally the rules in general, we have already kind of touched on both, like being a bit double-sided, but generally kind of goes hand in hand with what we just said. The rules are just quite strict, so you know that you're safe. The dogs they're not allowed to be off the lead. Like there's designated areas where they can be, so it's just super easy to get on with your life, especially for people like us that have two dogs that are
reactive,
absolute wet lettuces. So. Now this one's probably the one that everybody thinks we moved here for, which equally it is, but it's tax-free. Not completely tax-free. The business gets taxed as normal at a significantly reduced rate to what the UK would.
Which is 9%.
9% on anything over £80,000, I believe, or £88,000. So significantly reduced tax. We don't get personally taxed, so that in itself is one massive incentive. Like, you know, you get here, you don't feel like you're getting ripped off, you feel like you're working for your own money, which makes it even more motivating to want to work hard.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like you're paying it out to somebody fucking else.
It gives you that drive to like want to be successful and like want to like push for more. And I don't know if like in the UK, I felt like I was kind of like at my wit's end with it, because I was already getting paid, I was already getting taxed 40%, and it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth about it, doesn't it?
Well, it does, when you feel like, you know, I don't really use any of the public services, and I know people are going to come back at me and say like, oh, you should pay taxes if you pay your taxes. But if you don't have to pay your taxes, then why the fuck would you? So yes, we will hold our hands up and say that one of the reasons we moved here was because it's tax-free. And then the last one really is just the fact that we just generally feel like there's just such an opportunity for us to be, well, living a better life here in general. Like from a business perspective, from a personal perspective, even for the fucking dogs, it's a better quality of life. Like there's just so much opportunity to grow, and you know, we've kind of felt the benefit of that already just by being here. So
our work mode is just shot up.
Yeah, the question is, has the £50,000 investment so far, which is still rising by the way, been worth it?
Drum roll. Yes.
100%. Yeah, we don't feel any type of way about putting that money into Dubai because we knew that it was what we wanted to do. We knew it was going to be expensive. You know, we ultimately came. Even all the negatives that we're talking about, we knew what we were getting into. So we feel no type of way about it. Yes, it's been a very expensive couple of months, but it's only going to get, you know, more manageable. It's going to settle down now that the majority of the upfront costs are kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
Still got a couple more bits to do in the house. Like we've got a sofa bed arriving this week. We still need to put a couple bits more decorations in and stuff like that. But you know, I would say by March, April time at least, we'll have no more outgoings other than the basic bills. So we'll be able to just like get everything back in order again.
100%. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, do I move to Dubai? Shall I do it? The answer is yeah. And if you're in your 20s and you're debating on leaving, you don't know what to do with your life, come to Dubai. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, and I think that's the whole point of this video. Like, we just wanted to give you our honest opinion on the good, the bad, the ugly, if you can call it that, and just our experiences of it. We're super happy we did it, and if there's anybody that's interested that wants to ask any questions, please feel free. We will give you as much information as we possibly can, even though we are still quite new here. All right? We appreciate you being here, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fancy shit.
Bye.
See you soon.